Hey everybody. Okay, so this is a very large, I think it's 6 foot tall by 7 foot wide. And I have a special system that I'm using now that is canvas and it's against my plywood wall. So I don't have to stretch it over a cradle panel or work on it over the floor. I like working on unstretched canvas because there's a lot of freedom. I don't like the bounce when it's stretched, so I'd rather stretch it when I'm done. And right now, this is an acrylic mixed media, and I started this during one of our pro membership Zoom and paint calls, I believe it was. And I just started out with like a pretty simple palette. You know, I was just feeling like pink and orange that day, and then I added a little bit of yellow orange. And so far, the palette's pretty much that, but like what I want to do now, let's see, I need to lean this way. As you can see, I'm starting to add some drips. I've always had these syringes that I've been wanting to try out. So I thought, well, what better time than now? So here they are. I've got 3 sizes and they all have caps on them. I had to rinse this one out. So all you have to do, they're syringes and you fill them with paint. 3 sizes here. I got them on Amazon. I can definitely put the link in my description. Now I'm looking for larger ones because, you know, it's good. This volume, this big one here is pretty good. The tips really don't vary all that much. Like, let's see if I can get the lid off of these other ones. I'll show you the difference. They all have the same, pretty much the same size cap, but their tips and their volume are a little bit different. But, you know, the volume is probably the main thing. I think the tips are actually pretty much the same. So we're just looking at volume. So I guess I'll probably just stay with this bigger volume. It's really not that large. Maybe look large when I put it in front of the camera, but actually in comparison to say my head, it's teeny tiny. You know, it doesn't hold a lot of paint. That's okay though. All right, so I have a couple different cameras going and we'll just see what happens. As usual, I'm just winging it, having fun. I'm in the play stage. Okay, hope you enjoy it. Please like, subscribe, and comment below the video if you like this type of content, because I love to know that you're out there. Let me know what you're working on in your studio. Let me know if you've ever used a syringe. And what I like right now are drips. So that's one of the reasons why I like drips. And I also like stripes. So what I want to do is vary these lines. Like I don't want them all the same. This is just another layer too. Like this will not be the last layer. There's a lot of things I have in mind that I want to do on top of it. Before I start using those syringes, I have like a white marker by Faber-Castell. And it's opaque. And then I'm trying this, it's an acrylic marker here. It's huge. It's called Big Thumb. And I'm trying this in place of Posca because Posca for me, they always, like if I don't fix those marks, they're not as permanent as I'd like them to be. So black and white. So here goes. All right, I'm going to bring this camera a little bit closer so you can kind of just see a little bit better the line quality, and there's a close-up. You can kind of see the colors. I've also got some smaller things going on, but you know, they don't count right now. I'm going for the big things that show like any changes in value. So there's the color. It tends to look really fluorescent in the video, but it's actually not quite that. It's really not fluorescent paint at all. I'm using Nova colors, and that pink is called hot pink. It's definitely a hot pink. I like Yosemite writing. That's what I'm doing right now. Doesn't have to mean anything. I tried a little bit of collage down here, but I'm not sure how successful that will be. Just trying to add some interest to this, knowing it'll pretty much all get covered up, but little bits of it may make it to the end, and that's all I need. Okay, so that's the black. I have to test it out to make sure it doesn't run without fixing it. Here's my white. See how this one goes. Same thing again, really. Go right over this paint. I think it's dry. Okay, not quite, but it's definitely opaque there. Okay, so for me, that's already more interesting. So here's a close-up, and keep in mind the color is not going to always be very accurate. In fact, you can tell as I stand back, the color changes pretty dramatically, but there's a close-up. Here's the stripes and how some of those marks went over the marks, and in some cases the mark wasn't even dry yet, so the marker kind of dug into the paint. But at this point, it doesn't really matter. So there's a little video. Now that bottom section there looks really greenish, but it's really just yellow ochre. And its color is so relative, it's in context to everything else, that it's going to take on its own way to look. So what I'm trying to do is definitely push opacity versus transparency. That's my goal here. So right now I started out with a lot of opaque paints, and some of these stripes are going to go very, very transparent, so they won't show all that much. What you'll see is like a veil and then this original bright color behind it. I've mixed up this kind of peachy color. It's quite nice. I know you can't see it too well, but it's a combination of pink, the nickel azo quinacridone gold, yellow, orange, and that's probably about it. It's kind of a salmon-y color, so I'm trying to match the value of what's there because I don't want this to be too noticeable. So let me just test this color out. This is the color. It's kind of a salmon-y color, which I think is nice, but I won't really know. This is my, this is the part that's going to be stretched, the excess part, but just wanted a color that, that's pretty close. Value could go a little darker, but it's different from the gray, and that's what I wanted, so I think we'll go with this. All right, so I have been standing on a stool to do this, and I'm also trying to, like I've got, you know, a band here and then here, so I also want to disrupt these lines a little bit. So here I've got a disruption here. That was with airbrush medium, so I kind of want to do that in a random sort of way. So wherever these lines might hit the airbrush medium, they'll do something different. Now they might, those this airbrush medium might make some of those black lines run. That's what I don't really know. It's always an experiment. Here's my syringe, and here's the plunger. Let's see here. So sometimes hard to get it started, but let's see if it's going to come through here. Oh, do I have the lid on? Yeah, I do. Not going to get any paint out if you have the lid on. That's not going to work. Here comes this. It's really a kind of a flesh tone color. And I just want to see if I can get it to run. It's not about like how many of these stripes I have. I just want, now it's hitting the airbrush medium and doing something a little different, which is good. And come down here. So you can see the value of this one is very close to what's behind it. So it by design is not going to show up as much. Yeah, I'm liking the value of this one. And it's warm. Now this gray has gone super cool because it's taking on, with all this orange, it's going bluish, which is it's an optical illusion, and it is so cool. I just love seeing that. I just get this to run. So again, just thinking of like, I don't want this fleshy color only in one place, so. All right, next I mixed up what's going to be, you know, a bit of a glaze here. It's just that nickel azo quinacridone gold with lots and lots of airbrush medium, so it's super runny. You can kind of see from my brush that it's drippy because I want it to be super thin. I'm just going to try this over some areas that maybe already have some lines and see what happens. I'm not going to go over where I just did this flesh colored paint, but I do want to kind of try it like just randomly. Like it probably won't show a whole lot. It's not showing a whole lot, but that's okay. I like subtleties here. So more drips, but See, I can make shapes or more of. It's a very subtle shape here. Just going with curvilinear for now, but I wanted it to drip and do its thing. And so I've got like one here, and I kind of want to set up a rhythm. So that just touched the flesh colored paint, got a little opaque. So just wanted it to really drip and do its own thing. Okay, so now I'm kind of setting up a rhythm here with the lines. So there's this light gray, and then here's a light gray, and then it went kind of a flesh tone color. So I'm going to go back now to making a syringe color, right back to the grays, but it won't be the same gray. I'm just going to use, like, there was a bit of glaze in here, this yogurt container. I'm just going to add some gray. I want the gray to be lighter, so I'm going to add some white. Mix it up and just get a relative idea of value, color. It's kind of an interesting color. It's actually hard to describe what color this is. It looks like a very warm gray, and I like that, so I want to really dilute it. It's about the right value, though. The value is the most important thing for me right now. Just trying to set up rhythm without these stripes standing out too much. So this one's slightly darker. I can test out the color in the border here. Oh, it's actually lighter. So I need to go a little darker. About the same value as what's over here. Can kind of check that out. So now maybe I'll get some thicker lines. Yeah, that looks very much like the other gray, but that's okay. These subtle differences are not going to be easy to see because the pink and orange and yellow are so shockingly bright. It's almost like looking right into some headlights or something. It makes it hard to see the nuances, but more and more the bright colors will get covered up. My idea with mixing all these different values of grays, and they are all grays, is to have some lighter, some darker. They're all pretty opaque here, so it's more that I'm trying to get the same value, pretty much the same value as what's behind it. A little bit lighter. It's a little bit lighter, but not too much lighter. All right, I'll get some close-ups now. Just move my camera and show you that the paint is still wet. You can see those black marks underneath the drippy things, and some bigger shapes than others, but you can kind of get a feel for how the colors of the drips actually are maybe a little different. It's hard to tell though, because again, you're kind of being blinded by that really bright color. But that's kind of where it is right now. So I got to let this dry, and my next step will be to try out some fun stencils, some that I might try some portions of letters. I don't really know. I think that might be kind of fun to continue that, but it'll be like a more subordinate function in this piece. It's just a matter of adding some shapes that are meaningful, but not too many. This one's not going to be about shape. This one's more about color and visual surface texture. Okay, thanks everyone.